Gotta love sports.
Welcome to the Shot Clock, where we're talking sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, and we're 100% digital, 100% live, and 100% real. Let's count them down. Welcome to the Shot Clock. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat. It's our digital sports show. We are live a little late today. We're having technical difficulties, but we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. If you have a comment, please leave your comment and we will get to it. Podcaster and sportscaster Sean Bell is joining me today. Sean, can you hear me?
You got me? You can hear me?
We made it! Let's do it! Hey, let's do it!
Hey, StreamYard, get it together. We're trying to do shows here. Come on.
We are on the Shot Clock because, you know, Sean got a baby, okay? And Sean got to do baby daddy things, all right? So let's get to the top sports stories. I'm just happy everyone can be heard right now, okay? So little things in life, you got to focus on the positive. And we are focusing on the positive. Congratulations to the 2021 NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. Woo! But, Sean, we got it wrong. Because we said
I had it right. I had Milwaukee in 6.
What? I thought you said Suns in 7.
After they went down 0-2, I got nervous. I said maybe 7.
Oh, you switched up.
I had Milwaukee the whole time. I never had the Suns.
Oh, you know what? That's a bold-faced lie.
That's that.
And you lucky we having technical issues because I would have pulled up the tapes.
I said it on other platforms. Milwaukee in 6.
All right. Well, I had Suns in 6, and then I adjusted and rode with Suns in 7, you know, and yeah, close but no cigar. But the conversation in Philadelphia, because we are based in Philly and we are Sixers fans, is this could have been us. It could have been us, NBA champions. You know, we could have beat the Bucks and then went on and beat the Suns. Could this have been us with the current team that we have, with the way they were playing leading into this?
Stop it. There's no way this could have been us. There's no way they're beating the Milwaukee Bucks. You lost to the Atlanta Hawks, okay? Whether Ben Simmons dunked the ball or played well, it didn't matter. You think you want to stop Giannis from dropping a 50-piece on your dome? Like, stop it. You lost to the team that lost to the team. You weren't one step away. It wasn't like a couple years ago when you lost to Toronto and then Toronto went to win the chip. Then you could have said it could have been us. This time, you weren't beating that Milwaukee Bucks team.
I will say the Bucks had the heart. And I think, you know, we've been talking about their heart since they beat the Nets. You know, they wanted it. They had the heart. They were willing to put in the work. And I thought our guys had that heart until we went up against Atlanta. So with the way that our team was playing in that series, I didn't see us going to the NBA Finals and winning the championship. Maybe we could have gotten to the next round, but I don't think we had the heart. I don't think our guys stepped up. And the way that the Milwaukee Bucks the way that their players stepped up, you know, I don't think our guys had that kind of heart.
Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, the Philadelphia 76ers had Drew Holiday, traded him away, and passed up on Giannis and Chris Middleton in the draft. You could have had all 3 of those guys if you would have drafted correctly, if you would have done your due diligence, but now you had none of them, and they won the chip.
We actually talked about that. We also had Rocco, and he's a phenomenal player. We had Jeremy Grant. He's a phenomenal player. Mikal Bridges played for Villanova. So there's been a couple that got away. But, you know, we have to say congratulations to the team. Based off their reaction, you know, it was just heartwarming to see how excited they were. Their first win in almost 50 years.
50 years, exactly.
Was over the moon. He was giving out his sneakers to people. Let's watch it now. That's heartwarming. I love watching stuff like that.
Hey, listen, Giannis may be the most likable NBA player. Go to YouTube and watch all his clips from his IG Live, from his Twitter, with his wife. there was a video of him going to Chick-fil-A to order a 50-piece, all
Right.
right, and then hanging out with the fans afterwards. Like, the guy is just so lovable and so down to earth that, yeah, you can't help but root for him to win the chip.
Yeah, you can't be mad. I mean, and this guy came from the slums. His mother sold stuff on the street. You know what I'm saying? To go from that to the highest achievement in professional basketball, you just can't be mad that this guy won this. You
Yes.
want to be happy for him.
And he's one of 4 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are in the NBA. All 3 have championships, and there's one in high school that's on his way. So
Look,
that's just a family of studs.
shout out to their mother, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Okay. Vanessa pushed out 3, now almost 4 NBA champions. She's the real MVP. Shout out to you, Vanessa Antetokounmpo. Okay.
Shout out to Pops too. You can't leave out the Pops.
Okay. Pops too.
As a Pop, you can't leave out the Pops.
Okay. My bad. He didn't have to push, but he helped.
He did a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about our Eagles. We have signed Steven Nelson. The Philadelphia Eagles have agreed to terms on cornerbacks Steven Nelson, and this is a 1-year contract. It happened over the weekend. He reportedly is getting $2.5 million base and up to $4.125 million, including incentives. This is an experienced player. He's played with the Steelers, with the Chiefs. We desperately needed this cornerback position to be filled. Remember, going into the draft, this was one of our key spots that we were worried about, and I don't feel like we did the right moves in the drafts to get what we needed. Sean, do you like this, and what do we expect from Steven this season?
Yeah, he's solid. That's what he is. He's a solid cornerback. He's not somebody that's going to go there and shut anybody down. But if you put the right things around him and the right safeties around him, he's going to play solid and consistent all year. He's only 28 years old. He has a lot to prove. He wanted a bigger contract than that and think he deserved a bigger contract. That's why it came so late, because he didn't get the bites he wanted. So it's a prove it year. So he can get the big contract when he's 29. And when guys are playing in a prove it year, they play above themselves. They play really well. So I think he's going to be really solid for this squad. And he played for the Steelers, so a winning organization. He knows what it takes to get it done. So it's a solid signing. Nothing that's going to blow you away, but I think he'll play well.
Yeah, I mean, add some consistency and some, a high football IQ is really what you're adding to this team, which I think we need at this point. And it makes me feel a little bit safer about going into training camp, which is on Wednesday, with this guy in that position. What are we going to expect from training camp? What are we looking to see right now, Sean?
I mean, listen, training camp is always a little bit overrated to me, but what we want to see is the consistency in the offense. Is the offensive line going to be healthy, first and foremost, right? Like, you have Brandon Brooks coming back, you got Lane Johnson coming back. If the offensive line is healthy, then they can play pretty well. Then we're going to be looking at Jalen Hurts throwing at Devontae Smith, Zach Ertz being back when we thought he would be traded. So it's going to be, those are the guys that we're going to look at. Jalen Hurts, especially if the offensive line is healthy. Is he a quarterback, or do they go get Deshaun Watson? Because that's the talk right now, especially this morning with reports coming out that the Eagles are the front runner and that the Texans want to trade Deshaun. So do they trade for him, although there's tons of issues around that, or do they lay off and give Jalen Hurts a chance to actually win the starting job?
All right, we'll be watching our Eagles. Speaking of NFL, they made a bombshell announcement this week announcing penalties for unvaccinated players. A memo was sent to all 32 teams, and they announced in very detail some drastic penalties for the teams if unvaccinated player or personnel cause a game to not happen and cause the game to be forfeited and can't be rescheduled. There's even things in this memo that claims that if you can't be rescheduled, if the game can't be rescheduled, you're not going to be paid as a player. And it just really forces some stiff penalties, even financially. Whatever team has to forfeit a specific game, they will be held financially responsible for the other club's expenses. 2 coaches were fired the same day they put out this memo. So clearly this is a low tolerance policy that they're enforcing here. Is this right, Sean? Do they have the right to do this?
Well, that's a murky issue, but let's clear some things up. First of all, it's mandatory for the coaches to have the vaccine. because the NFL can have control of the coaches. It's not mandatory for the players to have it, even though they're giving a push in that direction. A lot actually has to happen for a punishment to occur, right? The player has to get COVID, then it has to force a whole bunch of other players to have to sit out, and then it has to be a situation where they have to reschedule. They can't reschedule the game. They'll try to, but if they can't within the 18 weeks, within the time span, then and only then is their punishment and forfeit. So all the people who are angry and upset, the players that the NFL can't do this really isn't a punishment unless 1, 2, 3 things happen. All right. So let's slow our horses down with all these people getting mad about being unvaccinated. Listen, if you're unvaccinated and this is a business and they care about their business and they want you on the field for their marketing dollars, they can do that. But they're not forcing you to get the vaccine, but you're going to have to be in a bubble like last year if you don't get it.
And we talked about this, they're requiring a lot of the fans to be vaccinated, all of the fans to be vaccinated, right? So it's like, how are you going to require the fans to do it? But then some of the players are not. When that first came out, I felt like even that was a contradiction. Now, you can't force people to get a vaccine, but this is a business, and if you don't like the business protocol of the business that you're working for, you really no longer you're not obligated to work for that business. And I think people forget that, if this is what the NFL feels like they have to do in order to continue business as usual, then they're going to do whatever they need to do. They don't want to continue to extend the season because people are getting sick and games aren't being played. This is what happened last year, and we saw that was a little bit of a disaster, right?
Yeah, and with that said, over 85% of the league are vaccinated. So they're at the threshold that they want to be at, where they won't have to really miss games because 85% are vaccinated. So it's not like there's 50% or 75% of the players that are unhappy. It's really only the vocal of DeAndre Hopkins and Cole Beasley.
Oh, well, let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins because he had some things to say. He tweeted, "Never thought I would say this, but being put in a position to hurt my team because I don't want to partake in the vaccine is making me question my future in the NFL." And Jamil Hill, which I love, and this is why her voice is needed, responded, "So a vaccine that's proven to be wildly effective and protects people against a potential deadly virus will get an NFL player to retire, but not the threat of imminent brain trauma that they expose themselves every game." Got it. Very well said, Jamil.
Yeah, and DeAndre Hopkins backtracked quick. Okay, he came back and said he expects to play for a decade after this. So if someone got to his ear, and he deleted that tweet. So someone got to his ear and say, "Hey, knock it off. You're going to play this year. You're going to do what you have to do." And he still might not get vaccinated, but he's going to play, and it's a whole lot of noise.
Right, but it just says a lot about his character, right? I mean, you shouldn't have tweeted this to begin with, but it's like, how dedicated are you to the sport, and how selfish are you when you're a part of a team and you're saying, "Okay, I'm not willing to do this because, for the benefit of my team because of things that are going on with me." It just showed a lot of different sides of his character. And even if he did delete or backtrack, that's not going to go away from some people's minds,
Yeah, you got to want to be properly educated. Put it that way. If you don't want to be properly educated, then you're going to think different things. But either way, regardless of how you feel, and listen, I'm team vaccination. Regardless of how you feel, this ain't a real punishment. Because if you think you're not going to get COVID and you don't care about it, and I'm not getting a vaccine, then you shouldn't be worried because you're not going to get it. But we know that doesn't end up happening all the time. So
at all.
Either way, just stop complaining.
Yeah. All right. That's the playbook where we run down our top stories in sports. Let's get to a word from one of our sponsors.
We've seen how far this game can go, so we take it and run.
Making moves like nobody.
For everybody.
We don't move within the lines.
We move beyond them. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA.
Welcome back to the Shot Clock. It's your digital sports show. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, Sean Bell, sportscaster and podcaster, joining us today. Let's get into some stories that have been trending all week. Big story is Maria Taylor leaving ESPN after failed contractual agreements and negotiations. Maria Taylor decided to leave ESPN and find a new home with NBC. Now, this comes after drama involving Rachel Nichols, who said in a leaked audio piece that Maria was a diversity hire. To me, I feel like says volumes about the organization where you don't do everything that you can to keep a talent like Maria Taylor, especially after the drama that has happened. How do you feel about this, Sean?
Good for Maria Taylor. You know what I mean? You get the bag and you get out of a toxic work environment. And the history of ESPN and some of the things they've done, they've been clear and obvious from several people before her. You know what I mean? From Jamel Hill to my own family members. So it is what it is, right? So I'm glad she got out.
You got the tea, Sean. Your own family member? Tell us.
Hey, man, I'm not going to tell anybody else deets, but I have, being in the industry and talking to ESPN people myself, I know I have a deep knowledge on a lot of things. And so I'm glad she got out of a toxic environment.
And even not knowing that, you can tell, you try to keep a talent like that, especially after drama. You throw whatever you need to throw at her in these negotiations. Clearly, they weren't throwing what they needed to throw at her. So she said, okay, thank you, for your services. I it was a pleasure working here. I'm gonna move on. And she did move on. And they say, when one door shuts, another door opens. This new opportunity brought in a big situation for her. Her first day on the job was the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics on NBC. Let's watch.
Speaking of debuts, we're thrilled to welcome a new member to our NBC Sports and Olympic family, Maria Taylor. Maria, welcome to Tokyo and the team.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's an honor to be a part of this team and the Olympic legacy.
I watched her a little bit over this weekend. It didn't even seem like it was her first day. She fit in like a glove. She looked amazing. She sounded amazing. Good for her.
Hey, man, this is what she does. You know what I mean? Broadcast is broadcast, whether it's what ESPN, Olympics, NBC. She's super talented. So, of course, but I would say this. Salute to everything you're doing, Maria, but not even like a week off? Like, I know myself, if I go to a new job, I'm like, give me a month. You gonna go days later? Salute to you. That's work ethic, but it couldn't be me.
I mean, this is the Tokyo Olympics. She said, I'm gonna go hard or go home. Look, I'm gonna be here day one, okay?
I hope she gets a few weeks off after the Olympics then.
Right. I just want to point out Mike Tirico, the guy in the video, is from Syracuse. I just want to point that out.
Of course.
We from Syracuse up in here, so I just want to put that out there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At the opening this week, we saw a very familiar face, someone we know and love, Naomi Osaka lighting the Olympic cauldron. Let's watch that. I really enjoy seeing that. I love these red braids. Yes, Naomi. And I recently watched her documentary on Netflix. She's gotten a lot of flack for representing Japan in these Tokyo Olympics. It was just nice to see her at the opening ceremony getting, those flowers. I mean, that's an incredible honor. And she's really had a tough couple of months with the media and the press and even the backlash regarding her representing Japan. How happy were you to see Naomi lighting that cauldron?
She's one of my top 3 favorite athletes right now. So I was very happy. After winning her first match, she talked about being in a happy place again. So that's the most important. And listen, people need to knock it off. All right. Like, she's always had this drama from certain people about who she represents, but it's clear that she always represents her Haitian side. She always does. She's the only tennis athlete in the world who's wearing hats that said Breonna Taylor, that says Black Lives Matter. She's always represented for her culture. She's always represented from all sides of her culture. So as long as she does that, I'm good with it. But represent whoever you want in the Olympics. But I know that she's always down to represent and fight for us. So I'm happy.
And I think that's unfair. It's unfair to force people to pick. Biracial mixed kids, that's not fair to them. You're biracial, you're mixed. And to add to the mental strife that she's going through with the media, going into this Olympics, which is a big deal for athletes. This is the top world event for professional sports. I just think it's very unfair, and people need to be a little bit kinder.
Yeah, I think it's unfair, especially because of all that she's done for all of us.
Yeah. Did you watch any Olympics? I know it's a little weird because like in Tokyo, everything's happening like 2-3 a.m. and we're like watching it after the fact.
I'm sorry, I kind of don't care. Listen, like this is the most lackluster Olympic maybe in my life. Like just think about the athletes that are out there, right? Like back in 2012, 2016, 2008, you had Kobe and LeBron and those guys. You had Michael Phelps. You had Usain Bolt. You had Simone Biles. You had Gabby Douglas. Like besides Simone Biles, who are you really rooting for? Like who's that big name that you're like, yes, I want you to win?
Well, Sha'Carri's not there, so that would have been a name. But this is when these big names are made. These are the moments, and I'm sure a lot of people share in your disinterest. Even especially the men's basketball team lost to France. Like even the women's gymnastics, as excited as we are to see Simone Biles, women's gymnastics came in second to Russia in the qualifier. So there could be a little like we don't care, especially with all the drama with the protests and
politics.
How the Olympics try to limit protesting, but then backtracked on it, and now they're letting people kneel. And then the cardboard beds. I can see how it's like, okay, we over this right now.
There's just so and listen, like normally, like again, there's always names that are made here in these games, but usually you come in with a lot of names. And shout out to the people, and because I've watched Simone Biles, I've seen the people around her teammates, Sonny Lee and Jordan Childs, and those people really do well. So I root for them also. But can you even name, like, there's no Tyson Gay? Like, can you even name the fastest American athlete?
Right.
His name is Trayvon Bromell, by the way. No clue who he was. Had to Google it. Like, there's just not the names and the people we really want to tune in. 3-on-3 basketball. Like,
I watched the 3-on-3 basketball.
It's not even like they're NBA players. Like, guys. They look like people I play against in the YMCA. Like, I should be on the 3-on-3 Olympic team.
Well, look, skating has been added as an Olympic sport. So I guess Lil Wayne, if he gets good enough, can, skate his way into the Olympics.
Shout out to Tony Hawk, but stop.
Or Pharrell. Skateboard P, but this is what happens in the skating competition. Let's watch.
Yeah, I would say contest nerves. Now, these guys...
That is not where you want to crash on course, and he is feeling that as the clock will run out on Angelo.
Ouch.
He's fine.
Has this happened to you before?
Yeah, because if it hits you in sort of the butt, like thigh, grundle area, you are all right. But if it hits you in the sack, that's when you dying of pain. You could tell it didn't really square and hit him. So it'll be all right.
I'm mad we're measuring where the impact was
to the impact,
private area.
You're always an inch or two away from disaster, and you could tell he avoided that by the way he got up. So
Right. We'll keep an eye on the Olympics and for these new stars that are going to be made this year. Okay, before we wrap up, let's talk about Kanye West after having. Oh my God, you're a hater. After having this incredible album listening event for the album that never dropped and got pushed back, he, after having that, apparently he's been living in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, attending soccer games this is him in the same exact outfit that he wore on Thursday at this soccer game. And he's living there. He has a chef. He has a bed. He has private headquarters. I kind of like seeing Kanye at soccer games. This is nice. I like this.
I don't pay no attention to Kanye no more. I'm sick of the hold he has on our community. Okay, drop the album. Okay, how about do that? You probably had 3 songs done. Like, I still haven't forgiven Kanye for all his other past transgressions. Like, what? Why is this cute? You promised your fans something on Friday. What Monday now? We still waiting?
It's coming in August. You didn't see?
Yeah, allegedly. We know how he does. We don't know when it's coming.
Listen, when you get a Jay-Z verse on the album that's named after your mother,
I don't care.
You gonna put that back as much as you can to make sure it is right.
I don't care. I don't care. The
last time you had Jay-Z verse the day before the album was dropping. Like, you got to make sure that's mixed and mastered correctly. You got to make sure this is right.
You could have done that in this entire weekend. That means you didn't do your due diligence. You probably could have had that Jay verse earlier. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean, for your positive and enlightening commentary on this fine Monday. Thank you, wherever you are watching us. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but hopefully we made up for it. We will talk to you next Monday at 12 o'clock. Cross our fingers. You can watch us live on R&B Philly, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. It's at the bottom of the screen. Sean Bell, thank you. Where can they find you, sir?
Sean Bell Live. That's where you can find me. Twitter, Instagram. Holla at me.
All right. And I'm Mina SayWhat. You can find me here Mondays, 12 o'clock. It's the Shot Clock. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching the Shot Clock. I'm your host, Mina SayWhat, and you got something you want to talk about next week? You can always hit me up on social media at Mina SayWhat, and make sure you join us 12 o'clock next Monday on R&B Philly's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll see you then.